Hi, it's Jeff Waite here at stockideas.org, and today I just want to do another quick video book review of The Next Decade by George Friedman, where we've been and where we're going. So you'll notice here that George Friedman is also the author of a book called The Next 100 Years. And I read that book first and found it so interesting that I wanted to kind of zoom in on the next decade. So George Friedman, if you don't know, owns a global intelligence company called Stratfor. You can go to stratfor.com to learn more. It stands for strategic forecasting and really focuses on geopolitics and American foreign policy. So, I like it because it's kind of interesting to understand how the world works and how things might play out in the next decade or 100 years, as it were, and that's certainly applicable to investing. So that's why it caught my interest. Now this book, definitely American centric, and in the next 100 years, Friedman's hypothesis is that this is the century of American power, which is kind of at odds with the narrative you hear in the media these days that okay, the economy is collapsing, American institutions are crumbling, etc. So you kind of need to take a step back when you read Friedman, and you'll find that he presents things a little bit differently from most people. So in this book, the first part is about how America has unintentionally become a global empire. Can you argue it? The GDP of America is 25% of the world. It's entangled with every country in some way. The foreign policy of America has implications for people all over the world, and by controlling global sea lanes and trade through the oceans, the United States basically controls the world, and that kind of presents a threat to the republic, which America is. Friedman sort of talks about how we didn't intend to have this empire, but now we do. And, how does that present threats to democracy and the republic? And there's definitely some very interesting themes that are super relevant today. You can see that America is trying to balance the morality associated with a republic and the power needed to manage an imperial global empire. Then from there, the crux of the book, the main part, is really about each area in the world. So from the Middle East to Europe to Russia to the South Pacific. And Friedman really looks at all these areas, talks about all the countries' roles and what's kind of influencing their decisions and what will continue to influence their decisions. And there's a lot of big surprises. I won't ruin it for you, but especially if you're a China bull, Friedman is pretty critical of China, and their prospects, according to him, don't look that bright in the next 10 years or so and beyond. Then in the final closing part of the book, Friedman just sort of wraps it all up and touches on some of the really important bigger trends that are affecting us. So demographics, the aging of the baby boomer population and the ramifications, as well as technological innovation and where that's going. And then from there, he kind of gives a prescription for, how do we get through the next 10 years, this decade that he says is going to be a time of transition, a time of, trying to save the republic amidst the empire. And, he kind of says what the government needs to do, what the president needs to do, and what the American public needs to do. So, if you haven't read The Next 100 Years, I'd suggest you read that first. But if you have read it and you're curious about more, The Next Decade is just more Friedman. And it's kind of cool because it's, the next 100 years, you're not going to see it all. We're going to be too old and die. But this, should play out in the next 9 years. This was published in 2011 or 12, so it's pretty new, and really gives a roadmap for what's potentially going to happen given current geopolitics. So definitely worth checking out. Really enjoy Friedman. If you haven't read him before, check it out. It's a fresh perspective, kind of makes you question your assumptions, and definitely eye opening to how the world can actually kind of work, and some of the hidden factors that you don't hear about every day. So for those reasons, highly recommend George Friedman, The Next Decade. Thanks very much, and check out my YouTube channel for more book reviews about nonfiction, stock, and investing books. Thanks a lot.